It's a beautiful day today and we're on a subreddit that we've never been on before. The I Don't Work Here Lady subreddit. I've heard so much about this, but I've never made an episode on it. So we're here today. So excited for this. And if you guys do enjoy and you want to see more episodes, make sure you let me know down below. And let's get straight into it. Enjoy, guys. Woman confuses me for an employee and then gets locked out of the store, leaving her groceries behind. So last night I'm finishing up my shift as an EMT and it's been a long and tiring one. The calls weren't bad, but there were lots of them and we were all over the damn county. Shift is over. I change back into my comfy clothes, sweatpants, t-shirt and a hoodie, and I head to the store to get something for dinner. I get there just in time since they're closing in 10 minutes. I assure the cashier that I was just grabbing something quick and I go and pick up some lasagna from the frozen section. I grab them and turn to head to the checkout when I hear a not a throat clearing sound, but someone saying it like they were reading it out loud. I turn and look to see a woman and she snaps off I need you to go in the back and get me a pack of the frozen pretzels. I say that I don't work here and I point out where an employee just went behind an end cap. The woman snaps at me, you do work here and you need to stop being lazy and get me my pretzels. I again say I don't work here and I turn to walk to the self-checkout. She flips her crap and storms off muttering about lazy employees and managers. I finish checking out and I'm grabbing my stuff and leaving when I see her again with her card and a manager and she yells, there she is, that's the lazy biatch, and starts going towards me. I'm not even gonna engage, and so I hold up my receipt and my one item to the self-checkout girl and I walk out. I hear the manager raising his voice and saying, ma'am. Turns out that she left her cart behind and stormed out of the store to confront me. I get in my car to drive off, but she's standing in front of me so I can't go anywhere. She's also giving me a tongue lashing that I'm too checked out to really pay attention to. Great, I'm already on my last nerve and this woman is making it so much worse. Manager sticks his head out of the door and hollers, ma'am. She turns and makes a hushing motion towards him. He hollers again, ma'am, and she hollers back saying, I'm dealing with your employee since you're too much of a little biatch to do it yourself. He bristles and says, madam. She cuts him off with, shut the F up, screeched at the top of her lungs. He shrugs and I watch him go back inside, fiddle with the locks and then flip the sign to closed and then pulls down the shades. As I'm watching this, she gets annoyed that I'm not paying her my full attention and she yells, what the hell are you looking at that's so damn important to ignore me? I just point at the shop and say, they just closed and they locked the doors. I'm not sure what she screamed since it was pretty incoherent, but she did run to the door. Seeing my chance, I drive off, leaving her pounding on the door and cursing. Why the hell did they think you worked there? You weren't even dressed in a uniform. You said you had a hoodie and stuff on. They assumed that because you were there right before it was going to shut that you worked there or something? Surely not. And also, even if you were an employee and you weren't going to help them, why did they flip out like this? Going off at everybody and swearing their face off? Calling you a lazy biatch? Oh, this subreddit is going to be so fun. The next one is called How I Put a Crack in My Cold Dead Heart. Yesterday I went to the arts and crafts store in search of picture frames while I'm searching for a pre-cut natural white mat board in my desired size because the store was grotesquely understaffed and there was a line at the framing counter. I hear a woman asking another for assistance. She was wearing a shirt that matches the employee smocks. The reply was quick and almost rude. I don't work here. And the woman grabbed her cart and walked away. I don't know why this attracted my attention. Maybe it was the desperation in the asker's voice. Maybe it was store acoustics and funneled their voices to me. I really don't know. The woman who was looking for help stands for a moment before she uses a seeing impaired cane to walk towards me in the main aisle. Me, I don't work here, but I can try to help you. She has a huge sigh and then smiles. I need help finding yarn. I'm making a baby blanket and the colors needed are white or cream, yellow, pink and blue, and I can't see enough to pick them out. Me, well, I can definitely help you with that. Her, can you lend an arm? It's crowded here and I walk faster with a person leading. I laugh, well, speed isn't on my menu. I have a walking boot and crutches. If you want, I can lead and you can follow. I unfortunately don't have an open arm. She apologizes and mentions she'll find an employee and I insist that it's not a problem. And I've only seen one employee and they're all at the framing counter with a line of people. We figured out all of the logistics and as we get to the yarn, we share names and I learned she had her vision until a pair of hands and a foot ago and that her husband dropped her off while he went to the hardware store. We get to the yarns and we start by finding what feel of yarn she wanted and then I start describing the colors, barely pink or light salmon, cotton candy pink to banana skin yellow and banana flesh yellow, and this is almost an orange pink. I was told I was describing the colors well and I gathered the bundles. We finished our shopping together and even checked out one after the other and she insisted on buying me a chocolate bar as a thank you. Total grandma move right right there. Mama said to you, I hope your great-grandbaby's blanket turns out wonderfully soft and as loving and as sweet as you. Oh, that's so beautiful. I didn't expect to read something wholesome. Like, yeah, I don't work here, but I'm definitely gonna help you. Good on you, OP. You didn't have to do that, but you did. And that's so beautiful. We read so much stuff on here that makes you lose your faith in humanity. So it's nice to read stuff like this. A guy thought I worked at the bank and yelled at me in front of everyone. We have a company policy where when someone wants to pay with a cashier's check, we have to accompany them to the bank to avoid fraud. Anyway, I was at the bank with my clients. The bank was super busy, very few workers. There was a long line for the tellers and the people waiting started getting a little grumpy, all talking amongst each other about the slow service. Eventually, this old guy in line looks at me and says, "Why don't you quit standing around and get back there?" And I looked at him shocked and confused. He said, "Yeah, I'm talking to you. Quit being lazy and get back there and do something." I said, "I don't work here." And he said, "Oh, sure you do. I see your uniform and your name tag." I responded, "Yeah, no, this is for the car dealership. I work there." He didn't say a single word in response. It was so quiet and awkward. Maybe 5 minutes later, he asked if the name of my co-worker still works there. Turns out that he's a long-term customer of ours and has bought 4 of our cars. I saw him in the dealership the other day and I smiled at him. Well, at least this person realized that you didn't work there and didn't just keep going like that person in the first one. I still can't believe that. But yeah, they would have felt so embarrassed. Like, oh, okay. I made an oopsie. The person in this story I'm talking about. I don't think that person in the first one ever felt embarrassed. The next one is called, "No, this is my pizza. Get your own." So one day I didn't feel like making dinner, so I ordered a pizza. Not wanting to wait an hour, nor willing to pay an additional $10 for a tip and delivery charge, I picked it up myself. I get home, I pulled into my parking lot and I head into the building. A neighbor says, "Over here," and walks over to me reaching for my pizza. I pulled it away saying it was mine. So he started to ask me where his was. I told him I didn't know. He asked if I was sure it wasn't his. I said, "Yeah, this is my pizza. I bought it." He was genuinely confused that someone else could have bought a pizza and not be delivering it to him. Wow, that's so funny, but so confusing. So they assumed that you were the pizza delivery person, I'm assuming. Or did they realize that you weren't, but they still thought that you had their pizza? Surely not, right? It'd be even funnier if they never ordered a pizza. Like, "Hey, over here, that's my pizza." Even though you're not a pizza delivery person, so that obviously isn't my pizza. And wait a second, did I even order a pizza? Who am I? What's my name? And like this comment says, the "are you sure" part is the best. Like maybe this guy who picked up his own pizza for himself is just confused. The next one is called, "I got promoted while shopping at a store that I don't work at." So yesterday I was at my favorite local supermarket. I've been shopping there pretty much once a week for the past 6 years. I know the place like the back of my hand. I know most of the employees by name. I live in a small town of about 4,000 people. As I'm standing in the taco aisle, trying to decide exactly how hard to punish my bathroom later, I'm approached by a woman who must have been 75. SL will be sweet lady, and M is me. The sweet lady, "Son, can you help me locate the aluminium foil?" Me, "Sure, it's right up this way." Walks her to aisle 7B. Me, "It's pretty high up, let me grab it for you." "Do you want the Reynolds or the store brand?" The sweet lady, "The name brand, please." Hands her a 200-foot roll. Me, "Do you need help finding anything else? I'm a walking directory of this store." The sweet lady hands me her shopping list. I spent about 10 minutes filling her cart with heavy or hard to reach items, and then I got back to my shopping with a smile and a "have a great day." As I'm standing in the checkout, I see the sweet lady arguing with the floor manager. Greg, he goes to my church. We're pretty familiar with each other, over by the express line. I pay for my groceries and I walk over to be nosy and maybe help out. Sweet lady is telling Greg that the big guy with the red beard helped her. I didn't get his name and she wants to see him get a bonus or a promotion or employee of the month or something. Greg is insistent that no one with that description works here. I get to the counter and before I can even explain that I don't work here, Greg pipes up. Greg to the sweet lady, "Oh, you mean Mark? Yeah, he's one of our best employees." Greg to me, "Mark, this lady has been over here singing your praises for the past 5 minutes. I didn't even know that you were working today." Me lying through my teeth, "Well, Sharon, a cashier I know, called me and said we were slammed, so I came in on my day off." Greg, "Well, that's some real initiative. How would you like to be assistant to the regional manager?" We're both huge Office fans. Me, "Oh my god, thank you. Are you sure?" Greg, "Well, you definitely earned it." The sweet lady, "See, this is why I shop here instead of Walmart. Even though you guys charge more, you care about your employees, and your employees care about your customers. So that's how I became assistant to the regional manager at a store that I'm not even employed by." Wow, that's so cute. When I first started this episode, I thought this subreddit would be pretty much like Karen stories and stuff. And it is, but there are also so many cute posts like this one. It's kind of refreshing. But yeah, good on you, OP, for helping this person. That's so awesome. Karen slapped me and pushed me because I was ignoring her and not helping. I'm an 18-year-old male, born completely deaf and mute. Also, I'm partially blind in my left eye. I live with my sister, 28 female, who's been taking care of me since her parents died. Recently got married and she went on her honeymoon, so I'm on my own for a few weeks. This happened yesterday. Usually whenever I go out, I'm accompanied by my sister due to my disability, but now since she's on her honeymoon, I had to go out alone. There was a new supermarket opened and I needed some items, so I decided to go there and grab them. My bad for wearing a red coloured shirt almost similar to the employees working there, but if you look closely, you could see that it was not the uniform. I was at the electronics section looking for some batteries when I see an old man struggling to get some DVDs at the top shelf. Since I'm tall, I helped him. He thanks me, I can do lip reading, and went on his way. Then I began looking for batteries. That's when I felt someone grab my left wrist. I turned around and a woman in her late 40s slapped me. She was speaking something, but I couldn't follow her lips as she spoke too fast. However, I was able to catch some words like you, ignore, job, etc. So I signed to her that I'm deaf. Apparently this was the wrong move because she became more irate towards the signs. Again, she was yelling something, but I couldn't catch anything. So I took my notebook and I started writing that I'm deaf and mute. Before I could even finish, she grabbed my notebook and pen and threw them away. And then she slapped me again and pushed me to the ground. Luckily, by this time, a store employee came to see what the commotion was. He saw me on the ground and helped me up. Then he asked me what happened. Before I can sign to him, Karen starts to yell at the employee. I don't know what she said. She wasn't facing me. After she finished, I signed to the employee that I can't hear or speak. Fortunately, he understood and explained this to the lady, but she's still not convinced. She tries to assault me again, but I moved away. Then I wrote and I showed the employee to call the cops on her. The employee nodded and called the cops. Karen tried to run away, but the security caught her. The police arrived in about 10 minutes. They first talked to the employee who explained the situation about how Karen assaulted me because she mistook me for a store employee. One police officer comes and speaks to me. I understood that he wanted my version of the event, so I wrote everything down and I showed him to the officer. Then they went to check the CCTV footage. They came back and asked me if I wanted to press charges. I gladly said yes. Karen was then placed in handcuffs and given a free ride in the back of a police cruiser. The manager then explained to me that Karen thought I worked there and she became angry that I ignored her. She'd been standing on my left side, so obviously I couldn't see her. The store manager then offered me a 50% discount on the products. I texted my sister about the events that happened and she was livid. Oh, did I mention that my sister's a lawyer? She told me that she herself will be handling the case and would see to it that Karen gets the maximum time. Court date is in around 40 days. I'll update about it after court. Edit. I noticed many were asking about masks. She was indeed wearing one, but during that encounter she had it on under her chin and not covering the nose or mouth. Also, lawyers in India can represent their family in court as long as they're not directly involved in it and a judge isn't a relative to the lawyer. Oh, that's so awful. I hope this one isn't real. The fact that somebody would treat somebody else like this is disgusting. Oh, so bad. And good on you for pressing charges. Like, yeah, I'm sure it is real, but I hope it isn't. The next one is called I was accused of trying to break into my own apartment. Hey, first time posting here. I've always read stories like this, but I wasn't expecting to experience it myself. I, 28 female, Southeast Asian, was cleaning my apartment because our lease is ending soon and we're moving out. The unit is conveniently located on the ground floor, so I went in and out for quite a bit, while a group of cleaners that we hired were inside the unit. I was cleaning the courtyard when some random Karen drove past me and started shouting at me. I couldn't really hear clearly what she was saying, so I walked to her. Are you talking to me? Yeah, I've been watching you for 5 minutes. I know you're trying to break into the unit. I was so confused. I lived here. No, you don't live there. Wow, the audacity. I was so floored, and then the lady continued to be aggressive with me. Just to add details, I'm not a native English speaker and I live in a white-dominated suburb. I'm an immigrant, but I've been living in the country for 10 years. So I find this situation quite overwhelming because I can't find the right things to say under pressure. I then showed her my electricity bill, hoping that she'd move on, but then she ignored me and continued accusing me of trying to steal something. She was even accusing that I was using a tape that I was holding at the time to unlock the gate or whatever. She also had her phone camera pointing at me and tell me that she'd call the police. Oh my god, what? So they're instantly filming. God, some people are awful. I knew that she'd just ignore everything that I said, so I yelled loudly at her that I've got evidence and I walked back to my unit. Everyone on the street was watching us. I was so shaken up and I've never felt so hurt, terrified, and also angry at the same time. Mainly angry that I felt like I had to prove that I live in my own house, which is just conveniently ignored by this person. I couldn't hold my emotions and I started crying and I called my partner for support. I wanted to post this experience in the local group, but I realized that not not everybody can empathize with my situation, and was asking instead why this experience was racism. I feel so tired, and I've been scared of racism for my whole life overseas. The racism that I've experienced before was subtle, so I always second guessed myself, but this left me petrified, and it brought back my fears when I just moved to the country. Anyway, this isn't a retail story, but hopefully resonates with many here. Oh, that's so awful. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And like the top comment says, for future reference, you do not need to prove anything to a neighborhood Karen. If police show up, fine, cooperate with them, but you owe nothing to a racist nobody. And really, you shouldn't show her anything because this is a crazy person. Next time, ignore her entirely and keep doing what you're doing. If you're on your own property and she goes onto that property, start filming her and say nothing. If and when she calls the police, have her arrested for harassment and trespassing. Yeah, how sad. No, you don't live here. What are you talking about? The next one is called I'll Poop Wherever I Like. This subreddit is a dream to me. I have experiences like this constantly. I think it might be due to having spent 17 years in the service industry. I just have that look. I've started wearing earbuds everywhere I go, but obviously that's not something I can do in restaurants and bars. My buddy was taking me to a fancy French restaurant as a treat, and I was pretty gussied up. I really enjoy getting dolled up and wearing a beautiful dress to enjoy a wonderful meal. However, the city in which I live, Portland, Oregon, has a reputation for diners dressing down. Even in fine dining restaurants, it's a running joke among locals. You'll go into a restaurant where a couple will easily drop a couple of $100 on one meal, and over half of the room are wearing hiking clothes or yoga pants. I only mention this because the staff tends to be better dressed than the clientele. I was wearing all black with my hair in an elaborate updo and chandelier earrings. I think the all black is what started everything. This particular restaurant has a well-known and frankly downright foxy chef who typically works at a station expoing and plating where everybody can see him. It's also near the door to the only washroom in the service station. It's a huge restaurant and only with the one washroom. There was a bit of a line. I waited, and at one point I think the chef and I exchanged a few pleasantries. When I was next in line, a middle-aged man in a Portland issue plaid button-up and jeans got in line behind me. He had cranky energy and was shifting from foot to foot. It didn't seem like he had to go badly, just that he was impatient. I'd been waiting much longer than him, and I found his constant sighing and scoffing irritating. When it was my turn, I reached for the door only to have this awful man push in front of me and nearly knock me over, shoving himself into the open door. I was so taken aback, I just sort of froze and said, "Excuse me, I was next," which is when he started yelling about how he wasn't about to wait while some waitress changed her tampon, and then yelled at the chef that he should have a staff bathroom because it's quote unquote disgusting that the staff used the same bathroom as the guests, and implied he might not pay for his meal because of it. I stood there in absolute shock and a full bladder while this man took care of his business, clearly taking his sweet time out of spite. Well, maybe. Something about his personality made me think he hadn't taken a normal poop in years. The chef apologized to me, and a waiter who had been at the service station commiserated. I decided, screw it, I don't work here, but even if I did, there's no reason to be treated like I'm not a human. Seriously, dude, you're wearing muddy sandals and you're suddenly acting like we're in Downton Abbey. When he came out, I used my entire body to block his path out of the bathroom, and I gave him a stern but quiet lecture about how A, I actually wasn't an employee, and B, there's nothing wrong with sharing the bathroom with the staff, and I told him that he'd ruined what should have been a special night out. Again, this all happened in full view of the entire kitchen staff and several members of the wait staff. I hadn't realized it at the time, but this jerk was actually seated directly next to my friend on the banquet. His female dining companion was sitting next to me. I'd been gone easily 20 minutes and my friend was confused and annoyed. I figured at that point I had nothing to lose, so I loudly explained what happened while gesturing to the awful man and making pointed eye contact with the woman. The man looked furious and the woman just silently glared at him. After a few minutes, the waiter wordlessly dropped their check. They were mid-meal and they hadn't even been offered dessert. It was clearly a very pointed but polite "F you, get out" from the staff after his rant. They paid without incident, and as they got up to leave, he tried to put his hand on her shoulder, only to have her jerk away and say, "Don't touch me." The face when you realize your partner is a complete jackass who got you thrown out of a restaurant for screaming about tampons. We got a cheese plate and glasses of sparkling rosé as a gift from the restaurant. Cheers. Wow, that's so awful. Why are people like this? It sounds like the staff did a really good job of handling it as well though. And yeah, good on you, OP, for not putting up with that sort of stuff. Oh, that's so frustrating. It did have a pretty satisfying ending though. And on that note, I feel like that's a good place to leave today's episode. That was such a good first episode on this subreddit, guys. I hope you had a wonderful time. But for now, it's time for something wholesome. An injury at birth left Ray with only the right ear. As she grew, it migrated to the top of her head, making her a unicorn. Oh, little Ray. That's so adorable. And she looks so happy too. And also that last picture makes it look like she's driving. Me watching my favorite movie for the 100th time and loving every minute of it. Yeah, there's so many different movies like this, like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or The Simpsons movie or The Iron Giant. Let me know down below what movie this is for you guys. Thank you for being you. Thank you for thinking that being me is something worth thanking me for. Oh, the dino comics are always so beautiful. There isn't a watermark on this one, but it's made by Dinos and Comics. They're always so good. And yeah, guys, once again, thank you for watching. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more episodes on this subreddit, make sure you let me know down below. And also make sure you like and subscribe. And the comment of the day once again goes to Eric Wins, wishing everyone in the Vincey family well today. Ah, the Vincey family. That still makes me smile every time I hear it. But yeah, Eric wins 100%. I also hope you guys are well and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for this comment. And thank you all for watching. I've got another fun adventure ready for tomorrow. And I hope to see you then. As always, make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!